excited, but the next second, she went straight to the brothel. It was because the top performer here, Little Haitang, excels in humiliation. To verify her talent, Ling Xiu went up and covered his hand directly. The system started to copy and load in the next second. It was already loading at 99%. In the next moment, it was kicked away by a huge force. At the same time, the system also showed a loading failure. Ling Xiu was furious, wondering who dared to ruin his good fortune. Turning around, he saw a fierce-looking beauty. The other party immediately said to follow her back. Ling Xiu still didn't know who this was. What is my sister-in-law to me? Why should I listen to you? I feel even more bitter inside. The USB drive has copied 99%. Who understands the feeling of being forcefully unplugged? Family? Who knew the next second? The woman directly delivered a high kick with her long legs, and then gave him a beating. After Ling Xiu felt dizzy, the younger sister-in-law disdainfully said, "What if you are my future brother-in-law? I can't be bothered with you." When Ling Xiu woke up again, he found that his rear end was damaged. It turned out the younger sister-in-law had fixed it up a bit after bringing him back. Ling Xiu was completely stunned, questioning Sun Dali. Why did he watch helplessly from behind? After some explanations, Lin Xiucai understood that the one who hit him was the second Miss Zhao, and his biological sister, Zhao Linjun, is his fiancée, Sun Dali. Now it's certain that the young master must have been knocked silly by a meteorite. Incho actually visualized me, a mighty king of the sea, as someone trapped by marriage. No way, I have to break free. It absolutely cannot affect my future life of galloping freely in happiness. But this unfriendly encounter unexpectedly allowed him to gain the art of heaven's soldiers from his sister-in-law. Ling Xiu is overjoyed now, but that's not enough. He needs to go to the art academy to acquire more skills. After all, in a world of cultivation, strength is the only truth. However, before that, he still needs to visit the Tingshan Pavilion to acquire skills. Even if I get beaten up by my sister-in-law again, it's worth it. A few hours later, the two were holding hands and talking during halftime. Miss Haitang was also moved by his constant sweet talk. She was ready to entrust her life to him, but suddenly she was left hanging. It turned out the skill had already been copied successfully. As he was leaving, he could hear the parrot say the young master was leaving. "Give me a smile, Grandpa." But he didn't expect Ling Xiu to understand. Turning around, she revealed a devilish smile. After stepping outside, Ling Xiu happily stretched. She thought she had taken his art. In the future, she would take good care of him. But at that moment, she couldn't help but shiver. Looking up, it was that familiar figure. At that moment, my sister-in-law's face was extremely gloomy. In the next second, she started to lose it, saying I just wouldn't change. "Do you believe I'll have my father cancel the engagement?" Upon hearing this, Ling Xiu's eyes instantly lit up. Is there really such a good thing? At the same time, Zhao Lingying felt his strength increase. This guy actually awakened his talent. Look at him, he's extremely pleased about canceling the engagement. Zhao Lingying couldn't help but want to slap him, but unexpectedly, Ling Xiu caught her hand. At the same time, she accidentally unleashed her ice art. Now he was even happier. After threatening Ling Xiu a bit, he hummed a tune and walked away. Ling Xiu was still in a daze. What was he so happy about? Given her awakened art? But after returning home, he learned from his parents that he had been a pampered young master since childhood. His parents never had any expectations for him. On the contrary, they felt the Lin family's power was growing, and they were worried he'd be bullied, so they wanted to cancel the soul contract. Ling Xiu, of course, fully agreed. After all, the beatings from the sister-in-law were no joke. Who knew his parents had already lined up the next match for him? Ling Xiu heard this and immediately ran away. He loves no one. He only wants to improve his art as soon as possible, but he can't find a way. In the next moment, his sister-in-law came knocking again. Ling Yu thought this tigress was going to bully him again, but Mei Cheng took him directly to the art academy. Ling Xiu was overjoyed. I never expected that my wish to enter the art academy would actually be fulfilled by my sister-in-law. Ling Xiu even thought that his sister-in-law might have bribed him to leave his sister. However, he was more than willing to enjoy this easy life. He could enter the art academy and also engage with the marriage contract. It was simply double the joy. Mei Cheng suddenly apologized to his sister-in-law. They also say that the Zhao family is true to their word. No matter what happens in the future, the marriage contract still stands. Ling Xiu will not be here in an instant. What kind of plot twist is this? Did you get the script wrong? My sister-in-law said that although you awaken late, I believe you will definitely be the dark horse of the future. Ling Xiu couldn't help but feel a bit touched. The younger sister-in-law is comforting her, but the next moment, she turned hostile. Sister has awakened for the 5th time. If you want to be worthy of her, hurry up and cultivate. If you dare to slack off, I'll kill you. Ling Xiu didn't slack off. In just 2 days, she accumulated a large amount of original power. This is also the awakening, the key to awakening. At the same time, she discovered that by mastering one art, her other abilities progressed alongside it. Of course, there was also her sister-in-law's daily hellish training. She was forcibly refining her spiritual veins. Every day, Ling Xiu felt as if her body was being drained. This scene made Sun Dali envious. Young master, are you planning to win over both sisters? And in the next second, you got hit by an electric shock. Then the two of them went to the Kingley's place. They spent quite a bit of money just to get Ling Xiu a job here as a civil servant. At this moment, an old man inside bumped into a noble's son, causing the death of his daughter. But Qin Tong said, the woman took my money. She volunteered to enter the residence to serve as compensation. What does his hanging himself have to do with me? The old man knew well that his daughter had always lived a virtuous life. There was no way she could have gone to serve as compensation, but he had no other evidence to present. The outcome was predictable. The judge would never offend the powerful. He was just about to declare Qin Chong innocent, but Ling Xiu stopped him. It's just that if one dies, their feet would hang limply. However, the deceased is just the opposite. Their feet are pointing towards the sky. This indicates that he was already dead before hanging. As soon as this was said, Qin Song became agitated. Everyone else nodded in agreement. At this moment, the judge issued an order order to temporarily detain him. Conduct a detailed investigation. Ling Xiu looked at the old man and repeatedly bowed in apology. A hint of sadness flashed through her heart. As expected, Qin Song was released within 2 hours. The first thing he did was find Ling Xiu to settle the score. Wanting 2 of your ribs for just 2 hours isn't excessive. Ling Xiu stated that fighting is prohibited in the art academy, but this is outside the courtyard. Just as I was about to make a move, I found myself encased in ice. It turns out my sister-in-law has arrived. Qin Song was panicking, asking, "What are you doing?" "Fighting is prohibited in the art academy." But my sister-in-law chuckled and said, "This is outside the courtyard." Before I could respond, she kicked me. Qin Song was sent flying for dozens of meters. This time it's a warning. Next time, it won't be this lucky. Ling Xiu looked shocked. It seems I need to get stronger quickly. Only with strength can I be the best. Little did he know, that night he faced fury. Walking on the road, Ling Xiu heard a dog barking. What has this person been hiding in the alley for so long? In the next moment, a hidden arrow flies in. Fortunately, Dilly blocked it with his body. Immediately after, a man in black appears. Dilly, who has unlocked his artistic potential, subdues him with just one move. Seeing this, Dilly is full of confidence, waiting for Ling Xiu's praise. However, he soon falls into a coma. It turns out the sword was poisoned. Afterward, Ling Xiu fell into deep thought. Perhaps it was what Qin Song mentioned. Next, Bai Shuangchuan from the Imperial Medical Institute easily defeated her, and with medical skill, effortlessly expelled the deadly poison from her body. After he left, Ling Xiu decided to study his healing techniques. She would make sure to copy them when she had time. But the next second, her sister-in-law suddenly popped up in front of her again. Ling Xiu hurriedly explained her innocence, frightened. It turns out he came to ensure Ling Xiu's safety. According to his analysis, it is unlikely that Qin Song took action. Assassinating a noble is a serious crime. The Qin family wouldn't commit such an act. Ling Xiu felt it might be someone who the original owner had offended in the past. Little did she know that after Qin Song was attacked, he encountered an assassination when he returned home. The next day, Ling Xiu looked at his body. He thought, could it be my sister-in-law who did this? Zhao Lingying also suspected that Lin Xiuman was the murderer, but when the examination results came out, the judge said it was a mysterious woman because he died from a sword piercing his throat. It was that sensation, the usual tactic of the female assassin who awakened her secret skill. And at the scene, there are always a few petals left behind. Hearing this, Ling Xiu secretly delighted in killing while invisible. Isn't that just like Ake? If this skill could be copied, that would be amazing. At this point, the case of the Wang woman has also come to light. A thief was aroused by lust and accidentally killed her, and the assassin has always passionate about assassinating noble criminals who escaped punishment. By the time Ling Xiu walked out of Qingli Sea, a crowd had already gathered. The people thanked Ling Xiu for standing up for the wrongful case of the royal family. Ling Xiu accepted a big basket of buns. She handed one to her sister-in-law, but the next second, she stumbled and awkwardly said, "You're a good person." Ling Xiu almost died on the spot. He used to give out good person cards to others. This was the first time he received one himself. Then, Ling Xiu took a drumstick and stuffed it into the pile of big yellow dogs. Seeing its satisfied, goofy look, Ling Xiu decided to adopt it. He gave it a trendy name, Huang Balaji. After all, he saved my life that day and used the granted abilities to gather information. What a unique skill of a Taoist. It must be properly developed. On the other hand, when the judge learned that Ling Xiu was adored by the people, he fell into deep thought. Then he gave the order, bring the criminal who killed Madame Wang. Originally, this case could have ended without resolution, but he felt that Wang's innocence must be vindicated. On the other hand, Ling Xiu was still the same as usual, practicing late into the night with her sister-in-law. However, she was much gentler with Ling Xiu. Every time Hang Xiaokan left, her mother would also prepare delicious meals. Ling Xiu felt a surge of happiness. I have lived 2 lifetimes. This is the first time she has eaten food made by her mother. Before, it was either takeout or instant noodles. At the same time, after Dolly's business recovered, he started his grueling training again. Only by becoming stronger can he better protect the young master. But Ling Xiu said, "Don't give me that. When my sister-in-law was beating me, you ran faster than anyone." Although Dolly seems foolish, he knows that the second young lady won't really harm the girl. At this moment, pleas from the servants can be heard outside the courtyard. "Madam, please let us stay." It turns out the family's fortune has declined, and they can no longer afford their servants, so mother is selling off possessions and has listed everyone's wages to distribute. But the old servants refuse to leave without money. They only ask for a share of the coffin after so many years of service. That would be enough. Dolly is also grinning foolishly. "Don't worry, young master, I won't leave either." Seeing this scene, Ling Xiu feels a wave of emotion. This is what home should look like, right? Perhaps the meteor strike robbed me of the heaven's grace, but right now, making money is the hard truth. Political heat. Right now, the entire Wang duo lacks troops. In the next moment, Ling Xiu, a wealthy merchant, has taken over all the applications. He plans to use the art of warfare to sell troops. The wealthy merchant was shocked to hear that he would buy them at 5 times the price. By the end of the day, Ling Xiu made a total profit of 300 taels. However, this was quickly discovered by the sister-in-law. Ling Xiu thought she was going to get beaten again, but her sister-in-law took out some silver and said, "Here, let me give you some. We can't let anyone look down on our Zhao family's son-in-law." Upon hearing this, Ling Xiu snatched the money pouch. With righteous indignation, she said, "I earn my own money. It's honorable." She thought to herself that the Zhao family looked down on her humble status, so hurry up and break off the engagement. Zhao Lingying thought he only cared about money, but unexpectedly, he actually took the initiative to give money to a woman on the side of the road. He wanted her to treat the child. The younger sister-in-law said, "Most people in the capital are probably scammers. Do you think it's worth it?" Ling Xiu was unconvinced. As long as there's a 1 in 10,000 chance it's true, the money would be worth it. Moreover, Ling Xiu thought about how the cook's clothes at home were worn out. On the way, he picked out some fabric for her, but this shocked his sister-in-law even more. The master actually bought clothes for a servant, but to Lingxiu, these people were all his family. At this moment, his sister-in-law had been completely won over by his kindness. She even said that as soon as her sister returns to the capital, she would arrange for their father to marry the two of them. Lingxiu was immediately taken aback. Before he could even enter the house, he was stopped by his father-in-law. He said the emperor had ordered him to enter the palace immediately. On the way, the father-in-law kept reminding me that I should only focus on training the soldiers. Don't look at or ask about anything else. At first, Lingxiu was unwilling. Who would have thought that the one who called him was actually the current favored consort? The strange beast in Bailey was still shouting that it was so heavy. Lingxiu was shocked. The skill granting can even be used on beasts. The consort looked displeased. The whole palace is as hot as a true dragon. But look at the empress. Not only is she the first to have soldiers, she has twice as many as I do. Lingxiu saw that this woman isn't easy to deal with. Better wrap things up quickly. Who knew that this would take the entire morning? I feel completely drained. In the end, it was consort Shu who saw how hard he worked and specially rewarded him with a bunch of grapes. One bite, and it was extraordinary. Even tastier than the ones I used to buy to impress girls. Turns out, it was a tribute from the western regions. Even the other consorts wouldn't eat it themselves. Lingxiu secretly shared it with the elders to eat together. The elders were very grateful. They reminded her to be careful when meeting Princess Mingi. Never provoke her. After seeing the so-called spoiled princess, Lingxiu completely forgot the elders' advice. She couldn't help but lock eyes with her for a few seconds. The next moment, however, the princess suddenly changed her attitude. Talking to the maid beside her, Kair said, "Don't you think he's annoying?" Kair replied, "Your Highness, please restrain your words." Lingxiu exploded in anger. Why is Ma Jingtian always looked down upon by women? It turns out the princess has awakened the art of fire, which is why she and Lingxiu don't get along. Still using the ice skills of the celestial spirit. I originally thought I could go home after finishing. Little did I expect, after serving the imperial consort and princess, there are still 9 more to go. Now Lingxiu has completely flattened the eunuch. Do you think my conscience won't hurt looking like this? However, the eunuch was already prepared. He took out a mystical beast's essence to strengthen the kidney and solidify the demon. Lingxiu spent the whole day as a tool person again. By evening, he had become completely drained. But the eunuch said, from now on, he would have to enter the palace every other day. As soon as he stepped out the door, he ran into his ever-present sister-in-law. It turned out she had been earning money for Lingxiu Jibin during this time. After taking the money, Lingxiu suddenly felt like he was being kept. This kind of freeloading really felt like it. But his sister-in-law still had a cold expression. She made an excuse, saying the assassin hasn't been found yet. Dolly is too weak, so I came instead. On the way, Lingxiu ordered 3 bowls of wonton. Right now, he felt like he could take down a bull. But the expression on the little ant's face grew increasingly serious. This was only because he sensed the overwhelming killing intent from afar. After Lingxiu had eaten her fill, the two playfully walked back to the manor. After they had gone far, 2 assassins appeared on the rooftop. It's all that useless Shadow's fault last time. Not only did he fail to kill that kid, it made them alert. Don't worry, that woman can't protect him forever. We can wait for the right moment to act. The next morning, Lingxiu arrived at Qing Li's door. Looking at the plaque, he fell into deep thought. After the art academy starts, there is even less time to come to King Lisi. What can be done to avoid provoking everyone's anger? So he immediately thought of a solution. That is to gather more soldiers for everyone. But just then, a new case appeared. He only took one look at Shitsai Kunken and immediately identified the murderer. It turns out it was just now. Lingxiu, to avoid upsetting others for skipping work every day, diligently treated her colleagues' injuries. But just then, Su Wenshu hurried by. Lingxiu stopped him and asked what was going on. It turned out there was a new case in the city. Don't rush, sit down and have some cold watermelon. It's scorching out there, I'll go to the scene for you, she said. Lingxiu followed the others to Wang Yuanwai's home. Lu Qingfeng hurriedly stepped forward to examine the scene. The green bricks were loose. The deceased had an injury on the ankle. The wound on the back of the head matched the bloodstains on the flower bed. It was most likely an accidental death. However, at this moment, Lingxiu looked at Kuan Kuei in the birdcage. A moment later, Lingxiu stated that Wang Yuanwai did not accidentally fall. It was murder. However, Lu Qingfeng disagreed. Everything must be supported by evidence. All current clues indicate that Wang Yuanwai committed suicide. What evidence do you have to say it was murder? Lingxiu replied without thinking that there was no evidence. Then he pointed at the chubby man beside him. He wants to say something. Then you just go and interrogate him. The fat man heard this and took off running. Seeing this, Lu Qingfeng immediately ordered to capture him. The fat man was pinned to the ground. He kept shouting, I didn't do it on purpose. I really didn't mean to kill him. At this moment, Lu Qingfeng was quite curious. May I ask, Lord Lin, how did you determine that this person is the murderer? Yet Lingxiu claims it is all based on guesswork. Unbeknownst to them, it was Lingxiu who copied what Kuan told him before granting the art. The scene shifts. After hearing about this matter in the Si de Tang, everyone is quite curious. Lucky guess, did he really say that? Yes, I still can't figure it out. That person left no trace at all. How did Lingxiu know he was the murderer? Then I began to comfort myself. I think he must have noticed the details we overlooked. As soon as he said this, the county magistrate also became highly interested in Lingxiu. At the same time, Lingxiu came to Changchun Palace to treat a patient. But then she heard arguing from next door. It turned out the consort's Nan was ill. Even Bai Shuangxuan from the Imperial Hospital was at a loss. So the consort ordered a punishment for Xiao Dengzi. Just then, Lingxiu walked in, saying, Your Highness, the student has limited medical skills. May I take a look at Dandan's condition? The Imperial concubine looks down on classical language. Even the genius Bai Shuangxuan from the Imperial Hospital is stumped. You have a way. Lingxiu is exceptionally confident. Whether there is a solution, you will know at a glance. If I can't cure her, I'll ask you instead. Lingxiu stared intently at Dandan. With the blessing of art, He quickly discerned the cause of the illness. It turned out that Nan's flesh servant had a thorn stuck in it. After Lingxiu pulled out the energy, Nan started jumping around again. The noble consort was overjoyed and said, "Give Lingxiu my hairpin as a reward." Until dusk, Lingxiu had finished today's military work. At this moment, Bai Shuangchuan called out to him. It turned out to be about what she had mumbled during the day. She specifically came to ask Lingxiu how he had identified the cause of the illness at a glance. But how could Lingxiu explain this? He could only make up a reason. Actually, there's no secret to it. You just need to be a bit more careful. Once those words were said, Bai Shuangchuan was left confused. Actually, the man was curled up and looked pained. I guessed he might have hurt his foot. I see. Is it that Shuangchuan's skills are lacking? Just after the two were laughing and chatting, Lingxiu suddenly felt a chill down his back. He turned his head to look. It was Zhao Lingying's sharp gaze as she sighed. He immediately knelt on one knee. He presented the hairpin awarded by the Imperial Consort. "This is for you. The Imperial Consort just rewarded me with it. Look how much you've helped me. Consider this a token of my thanks." Upon hearing this, Zhao Lingying shook her head repeatedly. "This is too valuable. I can't accept it." "Alright then, I'll save it to give to someone else," Lingxiu said as he finished. Zhao Lingying snatched the hairpin immediately. "I'll accept it for my sister first. You really are a treasure." The next day, Lin Xiugan walked out of Jiayue building inside. "In just a few days, I've absorbed so much original gold. My original power has actually increased so much. Even the speed of refining soldiers has improved quite a bit." But just then, two strong men appeared behind him. Then he was taken to a restaurant. It turned out to be the owner of Tianxian Tower, with whom they had previously failed to reach an agreement. He found Lingxiu again and offered to pay double the price to invite him to supply troops for Tianxian Tower. Lingxiu's eyes sparkled with greed. Jiayue Tower offered 5 taels for a bucket of ice. If it's double the price. Hee, but it's worth 10 taels of gold. The shopkeeper almost shoved the teacup into his mouth. After a series of tugging and pulling, it was clear the negotiations had fallen apart. Right after Lingxiu left, a shadow flashed from the room behind the
shopkeeper. "Handle this matter properly. I hope you won't end up like that useless Qing Kong. His sister-in-law has a special hobby of being by his side every day. She even spends every weekend with him. But just one day after leaving Lingxiu, he was actually scammed in the street by an old man. The other party even demanded compensation for a seaside villa. Such poor acting left Lingxiu stunned. How is there still scamming in another world?" At that moment, two strong men walked over.
"The ruthless Iron Hand is here. Which Shao is so bold to commit murder in public?" Dolly was confused. He stepped forward to explain. "It's clear that this old man did it on purpose. He is obviously trying to extort money." The old man in classical Chinese started shouting even harder. "My old back is broken. You wicked servant, do you still want to protect your master?" As soon as these words were spoken, the ruthless Iron Hand immediately tried to capture Lingxiu. He also realized that something was amiss. These foolish good men were clearly targeting me. Could it be that Tianxian Tower couldn't hold back so soon? At this moment, Dolly is already furious, but Lingxiu kicked him away. "Hurry back first. If someone is looking for me, just say I'm at Dongchenjia. Dear officers, please lead the way." Wuqing and Taizo are dumbfounded. They didn't expect Lin Xiujing to comply so quickly. Dolly, standing nearby, is also confused. Why doesn't the young master look like he was caught? It felt like he was going to a banquet. Moments later, Lingxiu was escorted into the East City Cliff Prison, but he wasn't panicked at all. Instead, he started to feel excited. Having lived 2 lifetimes, it was his first time in jail. Why does it feel a bit thrilling? At this moment, footsteps could be heard nearby. It turned out just as Lingxiu had thought. This matter is exactly what the owner of Tianshan Tower has done. "Young Master Lin, we meet again. You brought Neza, my criminal, to confront me. Should I thank you for this? Young Master Lin sure knows how to joke. That old man's leg has been broken by you. Where does this accusation of extortion come from?" After saying that, you kicked and broke the old man's left leg. Lingxiu, strong yet helpless, said, "What do you want?" "A bucket of ice and a silver coin. If you agree, you can leave right now. Otherwise, don't blame me for being ruthless." At that moment, Lingxiu heard footsteps approaching. He was certain he was about to be rescued, so he started joking with them. "I suddenly realized something was wrong. I see that your forehead is dark. You will likely face a disaster soon." Hearing this, the poster immediately became furious. "Death is imminent. Yet you dare to speak such wild words." As soon as he finished speaking, he was hurriedly approached by his father. Gave a big hit. "The secret wanderer has finally found you. The palace is in a panic. Hurry and open the door already." The old father quickly explained. "It's like a flood swept through the Dragon King's temple. Family members don't recognize each other anymore. Young Master Lin, you may leave now." At this moment, Lingxiu turned to look at the building master. "I was right, wasn't I? Father, we can't just let him leave like that." And then, he got hit by another flying kick from his old man. "Young Master Lin, I'm terribly sorry. Quan Zi is talking nonsense again. I've already scolded him on your behalf." At this moment, Chief Stewardly spoke up. All right, hurry up. Otherwise, the noble ones in the palace will get angry." Lingxiu just left. The building master is in trouble. All the stewardly is here. It must be the emperor coming. You still won't let them in? I swear I'm going to beat you to death today, you turtle bastard. Meanwhile, Your Grace, the Imperial Consort is already feeling terribly hot. She was just about to fly into a rage. Chief Eunuch Li arrived with Lingxiu just in time. "Why are you so late today? Are you trying to let me die of heat?" Lingxiu quickly explained and begged for forgiveness. "The students were delayed by some matters. Please, Your Grace, calm down. Let the student show you a trick." Just at the moment when the noble consort is lost in thought, a cup of watermelon slush quietly appears. "For the sake of this slush, I'll let you off this time. However, given your skills, you might as well stay in the Palace of Eternal Spring. This way, I can enjoy chilled fruits anytime." Lingxiu. When Yan suddenly panicked, this might be somewhat inappropriate. The only men who can stay in the harem are the emperor and the eunuchs, right? You don't need to be afraid. It's just a matter of a couple of cuts. Just bear with it, and it will be over. Once these words were spoken, Lingxiu hurriedly bowed and begged for mercy. He is engaged to the young lady of the Zhao family. I can only thank the empress for her kind intentions. Hearing this, the imperial concubine had no choice but to give up. Lingxiu finally breathed a sigh of relief. Goodness, I almost went from Master Lin to Xiao Mingzi. A moment later, Lingxiu visits Princess Mingyi again. Under Mingyi's scrutinizing gaze, he feels extremely uneasy. Images of lecturing Mingyi keep flashing in his mind. However, in reality, he only dares to speak timidly. Lingxiu greets the princess. So, you're the one engaged to that woman? Lingxiu does look rather proper. You're just too untalented. You're not worthy of that woman. The princess is absolutely right. The Xiao family's daughter is extraordinary. Whether in beauty or talent, she is unmatched. And as for me, aside from this face, there's really nothing worthy of her. At least you have some self-awareness. Besides your looks, you're really useless. Thank you, princess, for praising my handsome looks. Who praised you? Hurry up and go train the soldiers. Once you're done, get out of here quickly. By the time Lingxiu finished, it was already late at night. Inside the carriage, he curiously asked Zhao Lingying about you and Princess Mingyi. Which one of you is stronger? Although you haven't competed before, I think you're more impressive. Zhao Ling immediately inquired about the original. I noticed Lingxiu gradually becoming sleazy. Although they each have their own merits in appearance, he is dark-skinned and short. Besides, you are all about the same age. He is just plain and ordinary. You are much older than him. Once these words were spoken, Zhao Linlin immediately became serious. Do I really look that old? Just then, a beautiful sound floated over. Lingxiu turned to look in the direction of the sound. Through the window crack, he saw a woman with an aristocratic appearance. She was the top courtesan in the capital, but she was singing a wildly popular modern pop song. Her graceful dance moves left everyone mesmerized, but after finishing her song, she fainted. It turns out that last night, on Lingxiu's way home, a beautiful melody drifted by. Lingxiu followed the sound and looked over. Through the window crack, there appeared a woman with an aristocratic appearance, because the sister-in-law was present. The next morning, Lingxiu arrived at Pear Blossom Courtyard. As soon as she sat down, her mouth felt dry. Could it really be the voice that stirs memories? Unfortunately, although the singing was good, it always felt like something was missing. So I waved to call over the lady boss. I want to request a song. How much does it cost? It's 20 coins per performance. Which song would the young master like to hear? But the song I want isn't in your repertoire. How about this? You find a girl. I'll teach her the song first. Then she can sing it for me. How about that? The landlady greeted him warmly. I'm sorry, young master. At Pear Blossom Courtyard, we can only sing the songs they know. Who would have thought that Lingxiu would hear this and immediately pull out a large sum of money? It left the landlady speechless. Then he called the girls over to gather. It seems that all problems can be solved with money. If it can't be resolved, then it must be because the money isn't enough. Moments later, the boss's wife spoke up. Does anyone want to learn from this young master? As soon as this was said, the girls began to discuss among themselves. We are innocent. Why would someone want to learn from a man alone? What if he is a dishonest man? What if he has dirty hands and feet? At that moment, a woman approached from the crowd, saying, I am willing. Please, young master, follow me upstairs. Elegant and refined in her manner. I remember this pair of eyes. It is the woman I made eye contact with last night. A moment later, the two arrived at the private room in Pear
Blossom Courtyard. Aren't you afraid that I might have ill intentions? Others might, but you won't, sir. That day, Xing Lizi was also among the crowd during the secret examination. You are not afraid of the powerful. You speak up for justice. You are definitely not a lecherous person. In that case, then let's begin. I'll sing the lyrics and melody for you first. 2.5 minutes later, Sai started singing. She danced gracefully to the rhythm. The enchanting voice
made Lingxiu nostalgic for her hometown. Thanks to Miss Sai today. Sai felt very curious upon hearing this. Although the lyrics and melody are quite strange, it seems to be singing about our Lin Yuan. Why does it bring tears to my eyes? Then let's stop here for today. I will come again another day to hear the girls dance. But at this moment, Sai's body swayed unsteadily, and she collapsed directly to the ground. Lingxiu hurriedly approached to inquire about the situation. After learning that the illness was not serious, she prepared to help him up. Unexpectedly, as soon as she touched Sai, a loading blue appeared. A thought flashed through Lingxiu's mind. This is art. After helping him to bed, she said goodbye to him and prepared to invite Bai Shuangchuan from the Imperial Hospital to take a look. Just as she stepped out of the room, Lingxiu thought, this must be the awakening to the art of sound. No wonder I feel so relaxed when I hear Sai sing. Before long, Lingxiu arrived at the palace and heard the consort's scolding voice. What's the use of the court raising you all? If anything happens to Nan Nan, I want you all to be buried with her. Lingxiu saw this and was just about to slip away, but she was immediately called back by the favored concubine. You're just in time. Come quickly and see what's wrong with my Nan Nan. It's over. It looks like I can't escape today. After meeting with the favored concubine quickly inquired. Come quickly, look at what's wrong with Nan Nan. He hasn't eaten nor drunk anything since yesterday. He's completely out of energy. Bai Shuangchuan, standing by, also mentioned that he's been thoroughly examined. No external injuries, and nothing wrong internally either. Lin Shogun then took over Dandan, just by granting power. I heard him complaining. It's so stuffy in this place. It's really too boring. Who can come and save me? And Lingxiu immediately checked the cause of the illness. The student should have found the cause of Dandan's illness. He has always only been able to move around in the Changchun Palace. Over time, the heart becomes restless. Now it's just not eating or drinking. But later, it might even lead to an untimely death. This is a sign of depression. The consort was confused. What is depression? Can this illness be cured? Your Highness, perhaps she could be sent out of the palace to see a broader world beyond these walls. In this way, his condition may improve. Upon hearing this, the Empress couldn't help but feel sad. Isn't this speaking about herself? She then turned to Linglong. You all take Dandan out of the palace for a while. I feel a bit tired. In this palace, who was not trapped besides Inan? The few of them had just arrived outside the palace, and then immediately became lively and energetic. Lingxiu, seeing the matter resolved, invited by Xuanchuang to treat Sai. Upon arriving at Lihua Courtyard, they found someone causing trouble. It turned out to be the former owner of Tianxiang Pavilion, shouting for a meeting with Miss Sai. At this moment, Lingxiu walked over. Isn't this young Master Wu from Tianxiang Tower? Could it be that you're here to capture me again? Young Master Wu has recovered from that beating so quickly. Should I tell Lord Dongchang about today's events? Let me teach the owner a good lesson again. Wen Yan was extremely flustered. He immediately turned and ran. After receiving treatment from Bai Xuanchuang, Sai has woken up. Lin Xiujian is overjoyed to see Sai awake. What happened to me? I feel completely fine now. Of course, Miss Xuanchuang's medical skills are not just for show. With Bai Xuan's twin swords, Sai is no longer in serious danger. Return to report to Dan Dan. The colorful clothing has been removed. Young master, if you wish to hear a play next time, the colorful clothing is always available. Though it is said that true friends are priceless, I am willing to pay to hear the heart of the young lady in colorful clothing. Once this was said, the young lady in colorful clothing immediately became shy. She referred to me as a true friend. Actually, the reason Miss Sai fainted this time is completely because you awakened the art. Miss Sai is quite puzzled, but I don't have anything special about me. Your voice is extremely pleasant to hear. It's just that you haven't explored the direction of art. Today, you tried a new singing method. It consumes more energy than usual. That's why I suddenly fainted. Kai Yi listened but felt it seemed useless. That's not the case. If the young lady can fully integrate her artistic ability into her voice, she will surely become the top danjiao in the capital. At that time, everyone will rush to buy tickets for Lihua Courtyard. So how can I improve? Next time I'll go to the Art Institute to borrow some art books. You just need to cultivate according to what the books say. How can Sai make the young master worry so much? I appreciate Miss Sai's voice. I'll still rely on your acting to relieve my boredom. After Ling Xiu left, the troop leader teased, oh, my dear, this young master is clearly not an ordinary person. I can tell he's different from the other wealthy young men who should really seize the opportunity. Who knows, you might just rise to greatness. Kai Yi felt a rush of embarrassment upon hearing this. The manager is belittling my lowly status again. How could I be worthy of young Master Lin? As long as I can perform for the young master, I would be very content. She is the emperor's favorite consort, yet she is deeply in love with a commoner. She even, in front of the emperor, gifted him a luxurious villa. Today, as the weather finally cooled, Ling Xiu was summoned to the palace to receive a reward. Led by Chief Steward Li, the two quickly met with the emperor. You must be the son of Lord Pingan. You've had a hard time this past month. If you want a reward, just ask for it openly. Ling Xiu thought to himself, who asks directly what reward they want? If you ask for too much, you won't get it. If you ask for too little, you'll feel like you're losing out. But it would be nice if I could be granted a large residence near the palace. At this moment, the noble consort seemed to sense something. Your Majesty, the minister is peaking. Why not gift him a residence near the imperial city? In that case, if your Majesty wishes to enjoy the ice wine again, you won't have to wait any longer. After hearing this, His Majesty thought it made a lot of sense, so he immediately ordered Chief Steward Li to arrange a residence near the palace for her. Ling Xiu was overjoyed. She hadn't expected that with just one word from Consort Shu, she'd save herself thousands of taels of silver. She absolutely adored her. At that moment, Consort Shu couldn't help but laugh. The emperor hurriedly asked his beloved consort what was wrong. It's nothing. I just thought of something funny. It turns out the Shufei's art is mind reading. Afterward, Ling Xiu quickly finished moving. 2 days later, the Academy of Arts officially opened. As soon as Ling Xiu entered the academy, she was captivated by many artists. She felt a surge of joy in her heart. So much art is really about to take off this time. Just at that moment, Ling Xiu was feeling proud. Everyone gathered around. They urged everyone to come and see. The princess is here. Seeing this, Ling Xiu felt embarrassed. Zez, this group of people really doesn't know how good a mature woman is at a young age. They mistakenly took a girl for treasure. A young boy leaned over to ask, may I ask, brother, what is a yojie? Lin Xiuza turned his head and replied. He saw a stunning woman nearby, who was tightly closing her beautiful eyes. Then, the two who shared similar tastes began to introduce themselves. So the man's name is Li Boizhang. After learning Ling Xiu's name, he immediately expressed his admiration. Today, upon meeting Brother Lin, he truly is impressive. The Zhao family even rejected the crown prince's marriage proposal. It must be Brother Lin's exceptional skills. The fairy who can return to the mortal realm has now entered the arts academy. One could say the future is limitless. Brother Li has come out of prison. I have merely awakened the art of ice, but my talent is rather ordinary. I am just passing the time here. Once these words were spoken, Li Boizhang immediately felt a sense of camaraderie. To be honest, Lin brother, how am I any different? Although I have understood the power of thunder, I am still just passing the time. When Ling Xiu heard it was thunder, he thought to himself that he had really struck gold this time. Heavenly tier art, thunder is much stronger than ordinary weapons. I must secure this art. So he embraced it tightly. It seems to Li Guozhang that Brother Li and I truly met too late. I hope you'll guide me more in the future. Meanwhile, on the other side, Mingyi was confronting Zhao Lingying. It turns out they were competing. At that moment, Ling Xiu turned and called out to Lingying, but unexpectedly, it immediately provoked Mingyi's fury. That really scared him, but luckily, his sister-in-law backed him up. He narrowly narrowly escaped the disaster. So, Lingxiu immediately turned back to chat with Li Boizhang. Brother Li, where were we? We were talking about the main hall. Miss Wanner is the most beautiful there. So who is the second prettiest? Lingxiu immediately caught on. He quickly tried to change the subject. Did we just discuss this topic? Of course, Brother Lin said that Lingxiu is ranked second. I share a similar view with Brother Lin. Suddenly, Xiao Ming appeared behind the two of them. In your eyes, men, is a woman's only value in her looks and figure? Is there really nothing else? They both immediately said in unison, she has a soul. At this moment, after Wanner left, Li Boizhang bid farewell to Lingxiu directly. He couldn't help but sigh, what a letdown. No one should abandon loyalty for beauty. As soon as he finished speaking, Zhao Lingying walked over and said, that woman is very dangerous. Don't worry, sister-in-law. I will remain chaste and pure. The next morning, the two brothers met again. Li Boizhang immediately approached Lingxiu Island. Could it be that Brother Lin is also here to see? At that moment, Lingxiu seemed to have seen something shocking. Not only does he have a 10-pack abs, he can also copy others' abilities by touch. But when he tried to copy healing abilities, his new finger mysteriously failed. It turns out that before this, he had already copied 5 abilities, including the immense strength of Dali, and Zhao Lingying's soldier abilities, Xiao Xiang's granting ability, Lingxiu's flight ability, and Wang Wei's spatial ability have now reached their limits. A second awakening is needed to expand their capacity. But just one day ago, Lingxiu arrived early in the morning, and the two brothers met again at the training grounds. Li Boizhang immediately leaned closer to Lingxiu and said, I didn't expect that. Brother Lin is also into this. As soon as he finished speaking, Lingxiu seemed to have seen something unbelievable. He saw a stunning woman doing warm-up exercises. Just as the two brothers were watching in fascination, a loud cheer suddenly came from afar. Formation in less than 2.5 seconds. Everyone is already in line. I am your martial arts instructor. You can call me Instructor Sun from now on. From now on, you'll undergo hellish training. If anyone can't endure it, you can quit now. Moments later, everyone remained in place. No one is backing out. Very well, I hope that in an hour, you won't change your minds. Now everyone, spread out. Take off your shirts. Stand firm in your horse stance as you keep tossing your shirts. The impressive 10-pack abs are revealed to everyone. Beside them, Li Boizhang is enviously saying, Brother Lin, how did you get that physique? Just lifting some weights at home, turning a millstone, stuff like that. Actually, it's a side effect of lychee art. But Li Boizhang believed it completely. Brother Lin, you're truly one of us. As men, we must have strong bodies. Otherwise, how can we navigate through a world full of temptations? Lingxiu's martial arts training was entirely to hide his talent for motivational arts. At this point, Instructor Sun patted both of their shoulders. You two did well. But when he came into contact with Lingxiu, the golden finger showed no reaction. Clearly, Instructor Sun was purely a dancer. Then he continued to say, next time, I'll infuse you with true energy. As long as you can retain that trace of energy inside, you'll have entered the martial path. Soon, it was time for a break. Everyone collapsed to the ground like deflated balls. Lingxiu, who kept practicing at home, immediately attracted the attention of 2 female disciples. That young lord is so handsome. His figure is great. If only he could give birth to a child. Stop dreaming. He is Ping'an, the son of the country, and he is also Zhao Lingjuan's fiancé. At this moment, Lingxiu walked over. So what about Zhao Lingjun? He's not in the capital again. Who wins and who loses is still uncertain. It turns out that Zhao Lingjun always put pressure on him before. He constantly wanted to beat him just once. As soon as this was said, everyone started to gossip. Oh my, Linger, do you have feelings for Zhao Lingjuan's fiancé? Lingxiu confidently expresses that feelings like this don't follow any order. You all just wait to see his joke. Even if your art is powerful and you are favored by his majesty, as long as Lingxiu loves me, that means I have one. On the other side, Lingxiu is rushing to the chrysanthemum. A cool breeze followed the scene. Just as the crowd was dispersing, Lingxiu suddenly threw herself into Lingxiu's arms, gazing affectionately at young Master Lingxiu. I think I twisted my ankle, she said. The disciples around them quickly offered to carry her home, but she clung directly to Lingxiu. This young man, could you please carry me back? Lingxiu could only agree. Who would have thought a female teacher walked over? I hurt my foot. Then I'll take you back. Lingxiu had just been sent away when Li Boizhang came over. Brother Lin, what a clever move you have. You've already captivated the heart of one of the 4 beauties of the art academy. So, the 4 beauties are Lingxiu, Princess Lanhe, Miss Wanner, and Schwellinger. Then, Li Boizhang reminded Lingxiu that countless noble young men pursue Schwellinger. Why is he specifically taking the initiative towards you? However, Lingxiu didn't care at all. The only thing he cared about was what ability Lingxiu had. Upon learning that he had awakened a flying ability, Lingxiu immediately started to have his thoughts. The noble consort even made me carry her. It seems she really considers me prey. I will make her understand. The best hunters often appear in the guise of their prey. Afterwards, the 2 brothers, who share a similar taste, chatted the night away in a tavern. When he woke up again, he found himself back home. I didn't expect this little prince, who never gets drunk, to have been knocked out by a fool. Looking at the lack of thunder abilities in my hands, it's quite distressing. The next morning, at the Art Institute library, Lingxiu was searching for books related to colorful attire. Just then, Lingxiu came over again. So it really is young Master Lin. What a coincidence. However, Lingxiu turned away directly, but he persisted relentlessly. He sat across from Lingxiu, overly dramatic. Just when he thought Lingxiu wouldn't be able to resist such temptation, he realized Lingxiu was seriously reading. An hour later, Lingxiu complained in her heart, it's been so long. Is Lingxiu's heart made of iron? Not even giving me a glance.